Have you ever wondered why an elephant always gives birth to a baby elephant and never another animal? It's one of nature's most reliable rules. Plants follow the same logic. A mango seed will grow into a mango plant, exclusively, never a different species. But within those boundaries, there is variation. Why do siblings sometimes look like identical copies, while others look nothing alike? Scientists answer these questions through the study of genetics. This field examines inheritance, the process by which physical characters are passed from parent to progeny. These aren't random events. Inheritance is proof that life operates on a specific set of physical instructions that travel from one generation to the next. The other half of this equation is variation. This is the measurable degree by which offspring differ from their parents. Humans have recognized this for millennia. As early as 8000 BC, our ancestors realized that the causes of variation were hidden within sexual reproduction. They used the variations found in wild populations to selectively breed animals and plants that had the traits they wanted. By domesticating ancestral wild cows, early farmers in Punjab eventually developed the famous Sahiwal breed. But while they were experts at manipulating these traits, they had no idea why the process actually worked. Exploiting biology for agriculture was a matter of survival, but discovering the scientific mechanism behind it required a different way of looking at the world. The first real progress came in the mid-19th century through the work of Gregor Mendel. Mendel's approach changed the field because he applied statistical analysis and mathematical logic to biological problems for the first time. Between 1856 and 1863, he conducted a 7-year series of hybridization experiments using garden peas. He selected 14 distinct varieties of the plant to use in his study. To keep the data clean, he used true breeding lines, plants that had self-pollinated for so long that their traits were completely stable across generations. He paired these plants by looking for simple, opposing traits. He focused on either-or characteristics, like whether a plant was tall or dwarf, or if its seeds were green or yellow. By stripping away the complexity of the plant and focusing on these binary traits, Mendel turned living organisms into countable data. Mendel succeeded because of his incredibly large sampling size. He tested his findings across thousands of individual plants in successive generations. This massive amount of collected data turned biological observations into undeniable mathematical ratios. While previous thinkers relied on general ideas about how traits might blend, Mendel relied on hard numbers. His statistics proved that inheritance wasn't a mystery. It was a system governed by measurable, predictable rules. After 7 years of counting peas, Mendel proposed the formal laws of inheritance. These rules became the framework for every geneticist who followed him. Modern scientists have expanded on his work to explain more complex natural patterns, but Mendel's mathematical foundation is still what we use today. The next time you notice a family resemblance in the mirror, recognize it as the visible result of these laws, the same mathematical rules Mendel first documented in his garden. Before the 20th century, scientists assumed biological heredity worked like mixing paint. This diagram illustrates that exact idea, a red stream and white stream combining to form a perfectly uniform pink liquid. The assumption was offspring were simply the physical average of their parents. To test whether that liquid blending theory actually matched reality, a researcher named Gregor Mendel designed an experiment. He chose to study pea plants, specifically looking at true breeding varieties that reliably grew either tall stems or short dwarf stems. Mendel carefully collected pollen from a completely tall parent plant and used it to fertilize a completely dwarf parent plant. If the blending theory was correct, the biological math was entirely straightforward. A tall plant mixed with a short plant absolutely had to produce medium-sized offspring. This sequence shows exactly what emerged in that first hybrid generation, known as the F1. Every single seed produced a plant that grew strictly tall, looking identical to the tall parent. There were 0 dwarf plants in the greenhouse. More importantly, there were 0 medium plants. The traits completely refused to mix. But that left a glaring question. Where did the dwarf trait go? Was that physical information permanently destroyed during fertilization? The total absence of medium plants meant the standard blending model of biological reproduction was incorrect. A totally different mechanical explanation was required to explain how life actually passes on information. To find the missing dwarf trait, Mendel took those all-tall F1 plants and allowed them to self-pollinate, setting the stage for a second generation. In the F2 generation, the dwarf plants reappeared. Out of hundreds of offspring, exactly 1/4 of them stopped growing at the dwarf height. This abstract animation illustrates Mendel's first major deduction. Traits are not liquids that wash together. They are passed down as rigid, discrete units. He called them factors. Today, we call them genes. Genes that code for contrasting traits, like tall and dwarf, are known as alleles. Because the tall allele dominates, a single copy of it completely masked the hidden recessive dwarf allele in that first generation. An organism's physical appearance does not reflect its complete genetic reality. Recessive traits travel invisibly through generations, carried silently until they meet another recessive match. If a hybrid plant is carrying both a tall and a dwarf allele, how does it reliably produce exactly a 3-to-1 ratio of tall to dwarf offspring in the next generation? This microscopic view of a dividing cell shows us the mechanical answer. When a plant produces gametes through a process called meiosis, it doesn't duplicate its entire genetic code into one package. Under Mendel's law of segregation, the pair of parental alleles separates. Every single grain of pollen and every single egg cell gets exactly a 50-50 chance of carrying either the dominant or the recessive allele. Biological inheritance relies on strict cellular mechanics that generate highly predictable mathematical probabilities. To map probabilities, Reginald Punnett developed the Punnett square. Gametes align along the top and side. Intersecting them reveals fertilization combinations TT, 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 and TT. This genotypic ratio creates the physical 3-to-1 ratio we see because the tall allele dominates. This matrix accurately maps the physical mechanics of segregation and dominance, proving that inheritance operates as a solvable mathematical equation. There was a final structural problem. When you look at a tall plant from that second generation, its genotype is entirely hidden. It might hold 2 dominant alleles, or it might hold one of each. This visual equation demonstrates Mendel's solution, the test cross. He took the tall plant with the unknown genetic code and bred it directly with a dwarf plant, which we know only carries recessive alleles. Because the dwarf parent only contributes recessive traits, the hidden alleles of the tall parent dictate the results. If the mystery plant is pure dominant, all the offspring grow tall. If it's carrying a hidden recessive allele, exactly half the offspring will grow up as dwarfs. By examining the physical traits of the offspring, scientists gained the ability to accurately read an organism's invisible genetic code. By meticulously counting tall and short pea plants, Mendel proved that the characteristics of life are built from distinct, unblended units of inherited information. He removed the intuitive concept of mixed liquids and replaced it with strict cellular mechanics and mathematical probabilities. Those simple rules of segregation and dominance remain the structural foundation for the modern science of genetics. When Gregor Mendel began crossing pea plants, he was looking for a pattern in how physical traits pass from parents to a single generation of offspring. By controlling exactly which plants bred with each other, he built a massive, trackable dataset of inheritance. The results of these monohybrid crosses, breeding plants that differed by only a single trait, followed a strict mathematical logic. To make sense of this predictable data, Mendel proposed a set of general rules. Today, we recognize these consolidating rules as the foundational principles or laws of inheritance. The entire framework governing these crosses rests on 2 distinct pillars: the first law, known as the law of dominance, and the second law, the law of segregation. To understand why these biological rules were necessary, we can track the data in this flowchart of a monohybrid cross. The first major observation happens here, at the F1 generation. When 2 distinct parent traits were crossed, the resulting offspring displayed only one of those original traits. The defining anomaly of this F1 stage is the complete disappearance of the second parental character. There is no visible trace of it in the offspring. But when those F1 plants self-pollinate to produce a second generation, the F2 stage, the missing parental trait reappears alongside the other. Both traits are now visibly expressed in the population. Furthermore, they reappear in a highly specific ratio. For every offspring expressing the hidden trait, there are 3 expressing the initial trait, yielding a strict proportion of 3-to-1. Mendel's 2 laws were formulated specifically to provide a mechanical explanation for these exact F1 and F2 outcomes. The explanation begins with the first law of inheritance, the law of dominance. This diagram outlines the first axiom of the law. Inherited characters are controlled by discrete biological units. Mendel called these independent, indivisible units factors. The second axiom establishes that within any organism, these factors always occur in pairs. The critical mechanism kicks in when an organism possesses a dissimilar pair, meaning the 2 factors carry competing instructions for the same trait. The third axiom resolves this conflict. In a dissimilar pair, one member of the pair strictly dominates the other. The factor that controls the final physical expression is defined as dominant, while the factor that gets masked is defined as recessive. We can overlay this pairing logic directly onto our diagram of the F1 generation. All the F1 offspring inherit a dissimilar pair of factors. Dominance dictates that the dominant factor completely masks the recessive one, explaining why only one parental character is visibly expressed at this stage. Advancing to the F2 generation, these paired factors recombine in new arrangements. The specific pairings of dominant and recessive factors account for both traits expressing in the population, naturally producing that exact 3-to-1 proportion. The law of dominance provides the exact biological logic for how dissimilar factors interact internally to determine what physical trait we actually see. While dominance explains physical expression, the second law, the law of segregation, governs how these factors are physically transmitted. Looking at these 2 distinct alleles in a dissimilar pair, the absolute rule underlying this law is that they do not show any blending. Because they remain separate, distinct units, both original characters are recovered flawlessly in the F2 generation. This perfect recovery occurs even though the recessive character was completely unseen during the F1 stage. The information is preserved, not diluted. To fully understand this preservation, we have to look at the cellular mechanism responsible for transmission, gamete formation. This model of a parent cell shows that prior to forming reproductive cells, the organism contains its standard 2 alleles. But as gametes form, the alleles of a pair segregate from each other. They physically separate. The strict numerical outcome of segregation is that any single gamete receives only one of the 2 factors. The parent's specific traits alter the outcome of this segregation. On the left side of this split screen, a homozygous parent contains identical alleles. Because the alleles match, it produces gametes that are all exactly similar to each other. On the right, a heterozygous parent holds dissimilar alleles. When its alleles segregate, this parent produces 2 different kinds of gametes, each having one unique allele from the original pair. And crucially, these 2 different kinds of gametes are produced in a strictly equal proportion. By forcing pairs to separate cleanly into gametes, the law of segregation guarantees the uncorrupted transmission of traits across generations. To fully explain the inheritance of traits in a monohybrid cross, both of these laws must operate simultaneously. We can contrast them directly in this side-by-side comparison of their primary functions. The first law, dominance, determines the internal hierarchy of factors, dictating which trait is expressed when pairs are dissimilar. The second law, segregation, determines the division of factors, ensuring pairs separate into gametes without blending. If segregation did not happen, the recessive traits would be permanently lost or blended away. If dominance did not occur, the uniform physical appearance of the F1 generation would be impossible. Together, they perfectly align to produce the precise 3-to-1 expression ratio observed in the F2 generation. Mendel's principles of inheritance successfully consolidate the abstract rules of discrete factors into a predictable, deterministic biological model.